I've got to change tack. Whatever I do, I've got to change tack. There's no point in relying on friends anymore. Last week was my worst week. I spammed all my friends like I had done in recent weeks. I haven't seen people this disinterested in what I have to offer since I was a teenager.
Welcome to episode 4 of the Inane Campaign podcast. I'm Mark Rowe and I'm joined once again by my good friend Andy Gleeks, and we have been mining the fertile ground that is change.org for the most bizarre and funny petitions that are doing the rounds on the internet. I've been looking forward to this tonight. We've got a few bits to go through from the last campaigns that we ran. So just to fill people in, and you can see the smile on my face already, I don't think there's going to be any withholding anything. I won! I won!
Even a stopped clock is right twice a day, Mark.
So I was running a campaign last time to do away with 2020 and move straight on to 2021. And you were talking about, well, you can say, what were you doing last week?
I basically wanted people to vote for me to make Mrs. Brown's Boys and the watching of Mrs. Brown's Boys a sort of community service alternative to going to prison, just to, alleviate the stress on the judicial system. But it was not to be. It was not to be with my 2 votes, one of which was mine.
I'd say that I won this week. It's a slightly hollow victory because you got 2 supporters for your campaign and I beat you with 3. So what did you do to try and gain support this time?
What have I done to boost my numbers? Now, we had a talk about possible other ways of mining people and including people in the numbers. So I set up a poll on Twitter, on my own Twitter, and I put the 2 choices, Mrs. Brown's Boys versus start 2021 early. I did get 1 response for me, and I feel that should count, Mark.
No, if they didn't sign up on Change, then you're not having it. I don't think that counts.
That's atrocious. That's not what we had agreed. If I can have that 1 person, it's a draw, isn't it? It's a draw this week? No draw.
No. I think I'm going to cling on to this victory and say that it's definitely mine. I went a different route again this week. I've tried Facebook. Last time I tried Twitter with a campaign that was all about Twitter. This week I've gone into the very weird and wonderful world of Reddit. Have you been on there?
I have been on Reddit many a time. It is outrageous.
There's some amazing stuff on there. I'm definitely going to be going back into the world of Reddit and trying to use that to gain a bit more support in future weeks. But what I found was, although there wasn't lots and lots of change campaigns for starting 2021 early, there were people talking about it on Reddit. So all I did was dropped on, I think this is a great idea, so much so, I've set up a campaign. Why don't you support it? And 1 person did. 1 person followed the line, joined the campaign, joined the troops, and gave me the win.
I'm going to have to interrupt you there, Mark. Was that someone possibly called Anonymous?
Well, they did sign it as anonymous, but you're going to have to take my word for it. It is a genuine person. I don't know who. I've got no idea who, because they are, as you said, anonymous, but it wasn't me.
I am not buying that at all. I mean, you could have at least tried to cover your tracks. Anonymous is more fishy than a North Sea trawler coming into Grimsby docks. There's a bigger stench of corruption about Anonymous than a Trump family barbecue.
What can I say? I didn't realise that you were going to be such a bad loser about this.
I'm not being a bad loser. The circumstances of this absolutely stink. The only way that your ploy could have been any more obvious is if you'd had signed that petition, I am not real.
Well, a win's a win, Andy. That's all I can tell you. A win is a win, and you're going to have to go again. You're going to have to dust yourself off and get yourself ready for this week's battle.
I'm ready, Mark. I am ready to throw down again. How dare you beat me?
What have you found on Change this week that other people have put up that is just completely bonkers?
I want to talk about lasers for sharks, Mark.
Okay.
Because someone has got a campaign to put those on sharks. Because obviously sharks need to be even more lethal. You know, we've all seen Jaws. Can you imagine Jaws with a laser on his head as well?
You say we've all seen Jaws.
Oh, I forgot. You don't watch any films that anybody else has ever seen ever. Like The Goonies or E.T. or Jaws, or we could go on all evening.
You know my track record on this is not great. But yeah, go on. So someone's gone all James Bond, right, and wants lasers on their sharks.
I mean, I can kind of get behind it in a way if it's being used for some sort of weird environmental cleanup and the sharks are blasting away the plastic in the ocean. But my biggest issue is lasers need power. How would you power these lasers that are being strapped to sharks' heads? I mean, do they have to go back to a hotel beach bar every night and ask, can they stick their laser on charge?
Plug it into some kind of USB under the sea.
Yeah. And again, we've got a bit of an issue because water and electric don't mix. I mean, and you can't even go into a pub at the minute. So they'd be the only one in the bar until Saturday, the 4th of July, you know, Independence Day, Mark, when we can finally return to our hostelries across the UK.
Yeah, but no one wants to see that, do they? They don't want to be going back to the pubs and having to fight their way past some shark that's there just busy trying to charge its laser.
Who cares? Pubs reopening. Lads.
But I can't think of anything worse than joining all the people who have been desperate for a pint over the last 12 weeks, all fighting their way to try and get... And it's not going to be like the pubs are what you're used to anyway. It's not going to be just going up and hanging out at the bar and all of that kind of stuff. You've actually got to book slots now to go in and try... I mean, it's going to be carnage, isn't it? People with a 2-hour slot trying to get as drunk as they possibly can in that 2 hours.
It's not going to end well at all, Mark. I'm going to sit in the house and watch Shark Laser Battle. Because, let's face it, it sounds like a dreadful B-movie that you would get late night on the Sci-Fi Channel. First we had gorillas in the mist. Then we had snakes on a plane. Now the ultimate animal movie, Shark Laser Battle!
Does it top Sharknado? Because that's a thing, isn't it?
I think it's got the potential to be bigger than Sharknado. Shark Laser Battle. Definitely.
Maybe that's the Sharknado sequel. Laser Sharknado.
Oh my days. That sounds incredible. Let's stop making this podcast and write Shark Laser Battle NATO or whatever you just said.
Whatever it is. But
then I was also thinking, how do they fire the lasers? With their teeth or with their mind? Because sharks don't have arms.
No, surely it's just with their mind, isn't it? See something like, boom, done.
Telepathically controlled lasers that can only be operated by sharks. I mean, that sounds like something only JML could make. And
let's be honest, to be fair, if they can operate them with their mind, they probably will have been able to solve the charging issues that we were talking about earlier.
Self-charging telepathic lasers?
Exactly. Makes perfect sense to me.
Why didn't you say?
Were there any others? Did you spot anything else this week that caught your attention?
What else caught my attention? I'm not going to lie, Mark. I've just been spending all week thinking about paragliding Bono. If you can't remember, last week, somebody had effectively made a change campaign to, what was it?
Tie Bono to a kite.
Tie Bono to a kite. And we got from Tie Bono to a kite to paragliding Bono. I reckon Bono's probably quite happy paragliding because he knows he's up in the air, safe away from danger noodles. Danger Noodles is obviously, as we all know, if you've been on chains.org or listened to the podcast, it is the nickname or what the person wanted to change the name of snakes to, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I think it's what you should call snakes. If snakes suddenly incorporate lasers, then they would really be Danger Noodles.
Danger Noodles. So sharks and snakes, we're given them a headgear with lasers attached. This is a very dangerous post-corona world we're entering into here. Having said that, because I've been thinking about paragliding Bono, I want to try something, Mark, if you don't mind. It's a bit weird, but if it's not very good, don't keep it in.
I love that your criteria is if it's not very good, don't keep it in, because that so far in previous episodes hasn't been a thing.
No, I'm just saying, possibly. Let's make it sound like there's an editing process going on here and some sort of selection criteria. But what it is, every week we're going to check in with Bono. Okay, paragliding Bono, and Bono's just going to be me speaking in a Southern Irish accent, wearing my daughter's sunglasses.
Okay, good. I really want to meet paragliding Bono.
And Bono, actually me, is going to make a long-winded and ultimately very, very lame reference to a U2 song. And if it's funny, we'll make it a thing. If it's not, we can lose it in the edit.
Lovely. All right, well, I'm all up for meeting Bono. Let's have a go at this.
You ready?
Yeah, go.
Right, okay. So I want you to say, let's just go over to a windy beach in Ireland to see how Bono is getting on up in the air.
Let's just go over to a windy beach in Ireland to see how Bono's getting on up in the air.
I'm starting to get very cold up here now, lads. I've been up here for weeks. I can't wait to get down and have a burger. And do you know what I want to drink, Mark? I'll tell you what I want to drink. I want Pepsi. Do you like Pepsi, Mark? It doesn't matter. The fizz, you can feel it rot your teeth. Some people like Coke, but I can tell you, Mark Rowe from Milton Keynes, why Pepsi is so great. Why I always choose it over Coke. Because Pepsi is even better than the real thing. So you can see how busy I've been this week.
That is a genuine worry that is more effort put into that than you have put into any aspect of any of the previous podcasts that we've done.
What have you been doing this week that hasn't been as mental as that?
Well, everything I've done this week hasn't been as mental as that. But I was reminded of you, because your campaign last week, as we said, was to replace custodial sentences for people with Watching Mrs. Brown's Boys. One of the campaigns that I found this week was to increase custodial sentences, because this person has got a very specific group of people that they want to see put in prison. This is custodial sentences for mothers who wear pyjamas on the school run.
Oh, do you know what? That reeks. That absolutely reeks of classism. That, I mean, we've all thought it, but that is just. Do
you want to hear what they said about it?
Absolutely.
Here you go. Right. So they said there is an epidemic like no other that has arisen in our green and pleasant land. An epidemic as dangerous and as far spread as the bubonic plague. It is an act that has been growing over the past 2 decades and something that shows no sign of slowing down. Its birth spewed from the pyjama aisles of Primark into the bedrooms of the underclasses and shows the tenacity and determination of a hurricane on steroids.
That is good. That is excellent. That's poetry. That's the poetry you can get on chains sometimes, isn't it?
I think we've got a few things to learn from this person about how to write a good description on change, right? But it finished with this. This was their little plea at the end, right? Well, it wasn't so much a plea, it's a demand. It's a demand. They're forcing this through. I demand a custodial sentence with a minimum sentence of life for any mother in this court in this ungodly act. Rehab for those willing to try and take off those slippers and nightie, and counselling for the children who have been through this ordeal. Please sign, it's your duty.
I mean, in the age of austerity, let's face it, I know we're supposed to be coming out of the age of austerity, but life imprisonment for somebody wearing pajamas out and about does not fit the crime here. You know, the place is going to be coming down with people. That's the opposite of what I wanted last week.
Absolutely. But I think this person has clearly been scarred. I think that this has been a child on the school run with their mum who has just been through the ultimate embarrassment and now wants to basically see her banged up as a result.
Do you know what used to happen to me on the school run? My dad used to always buy bangers, really bad cars. He would never put the money down on a proper car from the showroom, or even a decent second-hand model. We're talking 5th, 6th, 7th hand. We're talking like 15, 20 years old. Cars that are fit for the knacker's yard. My dad used to buy them very cheap and run them for about 6 months to a year and then repeat the process. And at the bus stop where I got the bus to go to school, I would probably say about at least 5 times my dad's car broke down at the bus stop, and me and all my mates had to push my dad to get the car started again. And when you're a teenager, can you imagine the stick you get from your mates because your car is rubbish? The Northern Irish children use every opportunity to take the mick out of people. They call it character forming. I think in England it's called bullying.
I think you could be right. Okay, so we're not going with that. We don't support this then. Custodial sentences for mothers who wear pajamas on the school run.
School's open in that scenario.
Yeah, well, yeah. Who knows? Now it's going to be weird, isn't it? Because schools are going to go back here, but on like these, apparently on staggered starts and staggered timetables. So mums could be wearing all sorts of things at all sorts of different times of the day doing the school run and the pickup. Who knows what we're going to get?
It could get very weird very quickly at the back gate or on the front gate. Who knows what's going to happen?
Only you could make that sound like a double entendre. Well done. Okay, all right. So we won't have that. I'm gonna say this one purely because I wrote on their petition that we were going to feature it, but now I'm reading it back. I'm regretting doing that, quite frankly. It says this. I want people to sign a petition to get me a spatula lightsaber and a chef's hat on Synergy.
What is a spatula lightsaber?
Well, it's a lightsaber shaped like a spatula.
How would that even work? I mean, it would give you more coverage, you know, because a lightsaber's fairly, it doesn't have a lot of width, a lightsaber. It's got quite a good length, but a spatula gives you more surface area. So yeah. if you had a long pole and then the spatula at the end, effectively you've got yourself a more effective lightsaber.
I think it's all tied into the chef's hat thing. They see themselves as a bit of some kind of chef Jedi.
A chef Jedi, a chef die.
Yeah, this is what they said anyway. On Synergy Roleplay, I don't know what that is. I'm guessing some kind of online gaming community.
Weird LARPing, mate.
Yeah. I am known as Mess Hall Chef Cramble. My goal is to get the majority of Synergy Roleplay members, which again, that could be a lot of people, I don't know, could be half a dozen, to sign this petition to get me a lightsaber that looks like a spatula and a chef's hat so that I might become the most powerful chef in the galaxy.
I mean, it's an aim. It's certainly an aim.
Yeah.
Luke, I am your father, and I can also cook up a mean 3-course meal.
Exactly that. The most powerful chef in the galaxy. Surely that's Gordon Ramsay.
No, he's just the one that swears the most.
Well, okay.
Maybe that makes him the most powerful. Maybe that's the source of his power.
Well, it's not. He's not up against a great deal of competition, is he? who would win a fight between Gordon Ramsay and Jamie Oliver?
Oh, I mean, no contest at all. Gordon Ramsay used to play for Rangers Football Club. He would take Jamie Oliver down to Chinatown, Mark.
There you go. See? So this guy, in order to become more powerful than Gordon Ramsay, needs a spatula-shaped lightsaber. And I've got one more for you from an actual campaign that was on there. It says, help snails achieve equality.
Snails?
Snails, yeah. Too long, snails have been brutally murdered, hurt or tortured. Signing this petition means you agree that snails should have equality. 100 votes, and I pass this petition to the House of Parliament. Help snails today. I like the idea that the House of Parliament, the House of Parliament in this case, is carried on the back of MPs in the snail world. That's what I can see going on.
Yeah. Oh, do they all fit? They all fit in that one big snail?
That maybe they do. I don't know. But, well, it's the House. It says very clearly the House of Parliament. It must be one shell for them all to...
I mean, if they all lived in that one big shell, it would certainly cut down on MPs' expenses because they wouldn't need a pied-à-terre in London.
Absolutely.
Do you know what a pied-à-terre is?
I'm guessing like a second home. That's what...
Check you out with your cultural knowledge. I'm really patronising, aren't I?
Yeah. And also, I don't know where to go with it. I'm like, well, I've got the answer right. So what do I say next?
Yeah. That's just one of those comedy cul-de-sacs that we now need to reverse back out of.
I think it's fair enough, isn't it? There's no greater feeling than saving a snail's life, just moving it out the way on the path. And there's no worse feeling than stepping outside without looking where you're going and just feeling that crunch under your foot.
Oh, it's the crunch and then the squelch.
Yeah.
It's the two, because the crunch is like, oh, and the squelch is like, oh. And you feel for a brief minute, you know what it feels like to feel like Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy or something. We've got so many snail deaths on our hands, all of us. We're all serial killers. So I think that's a good campaign. It gets my vote.
I agree. I think anybody who has ever inadvertently killed a snail should be signing this petition to make amends for the wrong that they've done in the past.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think people should write in and let us know what they think about that. I think at InnianPod on Twitter or InnianPod@gmail.com, do you think snails deserve human rights?
Equality, not necessarily human, but equality.
Equality with what, though?
I don't know. Presumably more than just slugs. Did you toy with any ideas that you've decided not to run with this week?
No, I've been thinking about it, and I think the more well done and widespread I made my campaigns, the sort of less traction they get. Because at the start, I had this very niche thing, and then I went bigger, and I went Boris Johnson, Mrs. Brown's Boys, big cultural touchstones, and getting nothing. And it's like, we have to go viral. We need some sort of stunt, Mark. How do we make people aware of these things? I have figured out what successful podcasts have that we don't.
Okay, what's that?
Listeners. But I also but before I talk about, we need reviews. Leave a review on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast. Give us a share.
Yeah, Andy's absolutely right. If you are enjoying this, do leave a comment or just share it on, or just say something nice about it. Make it feel like it's all worthwhile. Because I think it's good fun. We have fun doing these, right?
Absolutely. What better way to spend a Thursday evening? I love it. We're slowly getting it right. By the time we get to episode 50, we might crack 50 signatures on a petition.
To be honest, I don't care how many signatures I got. I just wanted to win one. That was it. But now What's going to be the measure of success with these campaigns? 100?
I will be over the moon with 100 signatures. When you see the amount of stuff that's on change.org in single figures, then I think 100 is a huge success. But imagine if something went viral, Mark.
Well, it can be done. Like we said, we saw the Spicy Boys, 160,000 signatures on that.
That's incredible. I go to sleep dreaming of being a spicy boy.
Yeah, but that happened before we started recording these, right? That's an old ambition for you.
I've got to change tack. Whatever I do, I've got to change tack. There's no point in relying on friends anymore. Because last week was my worst week. I spammed all my friends like I had done in recent weeks. I haven't seen people this disinterested in what I have to offer since I was a teenager. And I tried this week as well. I tried really hard. Even my dad didn't sign it. I mean, I just think the luck of the Irish has run out.
If he listens to this one, you've got no chance of him signing anymore. You've just outed him for embarrassing you with his choice of cars.
Yeah. If I'm Irish and we're thinking stereotypes, the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for me is basically now turned out to be iron pyrites. Iron pyrites?
Yes, fake gold. Thank you.
Oh yeah, somebody did his GCSE science. High five. I've got a couple of things, right? I'm thinking of no point in relying on friends. I might have to get on 4chan. I think we might have to get the alt-right involved. But anyway, no, maybe not. That's a terrible idea. Don't get there. My first one was make the crisp sandwich the official food of the UK Olympic team.
Okay, good.
Would you ever had a crisp sandwich?
I have had a crisp sandwich, yeah. Not for quite some time. I would not consider it a staple part of my diet, to be honest, the old crisp sandwich. Would it be a particular flavour, or can they choose?
I mean, Walkers is fine. Any flavour of Walkers, that gives you a nice balance. Just don't use Lurpak, because that'll rip the bread straight off the bat. You know, whatever you're using, if you're going to use butter, leave it out on the side to soften if you're going to gamble with butter, because otherwise you're going to have a hell of a mess. You know, you've got to treat a crisp sandwich with respect. Margarine straight out of the fridge is fine. That's fine. But butter, soften it, you know. Otherwise, you're just going to have 4 pieces of bread and a packet of crisps.
I love how the opinion that you have of the intellect of our listeners. You don't think people know how to make a sandwich correctly?
No, absolutely not. Did you know that Muller rice is the official rice pudding of Team GB?
No. What's the competition for that?
I love the idea that there was some sort of audition process. You know, the guys from Ambrosia staring daggers at the Muller lads out in the corridor, going over, oh, yes, it's creamy, but it's also healthy. Do you ever eat creamed rice?
No.
No, you don't?
It's not on my menu, no.
No, because you're not a 5-year-old child. Who eats rice pudding nowadays as an adult?
The Great British Olympic team, clearly.
Well, obviously, yeah. But I mean, I find it really odd now that even the thought of it. Like, you've got all these spare carbs. I mean, what are we going to do with them? Oh, how about drowning them in the curdled teat juice from these cows? No.
I quite like the idea that, you were saying about them having to pitch against each other. Because it's the Olympic team, they have to do like some kind of weird decathlon of rice-based activities in order to try and win the gold medal, which is representing the Great British team.
Yeah, like push-ups with the tins or something, like stack the tins on one side. I mean, Muller would have that one because they don't have tins, so theirs is going to be much lighter, isn't it? It's just
surely they'd be flinging them like a discus, wouldn't they? Just like the amount of distance you can get with a Muller rice.
So that was one, the crisp sandwich, and then the other one was I want to set up an international commission to ascertain if there's any difference in the reasons why chickens cross the road in different countries.
And you've decided not to run with that?
I've decided. I just don't think it'll get any traction, Mark. You know, if Mrs. Brown's Boys didn't get any traction, my need for closure on the motivations of different nationalities of chickens crossing roads is not going to fly.
Well, no, they didn't fly. Presumably they walked across the road.
Yay.
There we go.
How many kids have we got? Because that is a dad joke if ever I've heard one.
Always working. Always working. Okay. Do they cross the road for different reasons in different countries then? I wasn't aware of this.
Well, I don't even know. I just think it's a tired old joke, isn't it? But I do, if they do cross the road, I do want to get to the bottom of why they cross the road, even if it's just in this country. I want to put a lid on that joke once and for all. Why have you crossed the road, chicken?
Okay, you scared me a little bit then. I'm worried purely for your family, not for my own safety.
We've got paragliding Bono and chicken rage.
Chicken rage is great. I want to see. Well, I've just seen you with chicken rage, but can you imagine imagine somebody with your level of chicken rage in the street actually seeing a chicken cross the road in front of them?
That's why they cluck. I'll end up clucking. I'll end up clucking out of sheer anger. Tell me why you crossed the road. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm all right. I just was trying to think of a good "why did the chicken cross the road" joke, and I mean, there are none, are there?
I thought you'd frozen for a minute. You know the way Zoom freezes? I thought you'd frozen. I was like, oh, God, we're going to have to do that bit all over again.
No, that is never happening again. I'll tell you what I've ruled out then. I'm not even sure. This is one of them. You know, like as a comedian, sometimes things come to you in the middle of the night and you go, oh, I must write that down. So you reach for your phone and you write it down, and then you look at it the next morning and go, what was I thinking? What was going through my head then? I've just put, bring back dinosaurs.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, which, okay, in itself, you know, who doesn't want to experience the real world Jurassic Park and actually find out what that was like? But I don't know what my thought process was that led up to it. I've got no idea what I was imagining in the middle of the night when I was like, I'll tell you what would be a really good idea, having dinosaurs around again.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty big. And, you know, I know there's all sorts of different dinosaurs and there's scary ones and all the rest. I wouldn't be a big fan of the scary ones. Like, I don't need the T-Rex in downtown Wickham causing me all sorts of hassle whenever I want to just buy, I don't know, a book out of Waterstones, because let's face it, I am that cultured. It's the poo that would come from dinosaurs. If you think how frustrating it is when a dog poos in the street, imagine a dinosaur leaving basically a small shed worth of poo in the middle of where you do, you know, your cycling or something.
Yeah, nobody's going to be going out picking that up, are they? I think for me, it was some kind of weird idea of, you know, really taking survival of the fittest to the next level and just getting rid of people that can't cope with living amongst the dinosaurs.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely make a day much more exciting.
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine just popping to work, having to dodge some pterodactyls on the way, getting in. I mean,
a pterodactyl could be repurposed as a kind of flying taxi.
Yeah, well, there you go. Or just drones, so delivery pterodactyls.
It's going to basically, for me, it's going to end up like a modern day Flintstones.
Maybe that was it. Maybe I just imagined myself as like Barney Rubble for a bit or something like that.
I would just want to slide down a dinosaur's tail.
Well, of course you would. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't want to do that? Do you remember like when you were traveling as a kid in car journeys, and like service stations used to have play areas that were dinosaur themed, so you could slide down dinosaurs and like swing from pterodactyls and all that kind of stuff.
That sounds great. I have never been in a play area like that, but bring those back.
Yeah, that's definitely what we need. So don't bring back actual dinosaurs, just bring back play areas that are themed on dinosaurs. That's what we're saying.
That's your campaign for this week.
There you go. Well, it's not. That's what I've ruled out. I got a bit more environmentally friendly with this one, because obviously there's been some issues at the moment with air travel. They announced the slackening of restrictions, and then within hours there was this huge boom of people booking holidays, wasn't there? So I've put, my campaign should be to reduce carbon emissions by making all air travel by helium.
Oh, yeah, like the old airships of yore.
Well, if you think about the film Up.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. The starting 5 minutes of Up kind of ruins Up for me. It's too sad.
To keep on theme, I haven't seen it.
Of course you haven't, Mark.
But I am aware that the whole house, is it the whole house? Gets moved by balloons. So I just thought, why not do that? If you can make a whole house move, you can move a few people by helium, surely.
Yeah, I mean, logistically, there's no problem at all with this. Getting loads of balloons, attaching them to a house, ripping a house from its foundations, and having no air traffic control, because how could you have air traffic control? Because everyone will be doing it as and when. But yeah, I can see no problem with that at all. Loads of houses bashing into each other in the sky, causing all sorts of issues.
No, I'm not saying you've got to move the houses. I was just using that to prove the theory that it can be done. You haven't got to move the houses.
So what, are they wearing like backpacks with helium?
No, but it's still balloons, but just with the people, not the house. You don't need to move the house. You just...
So a person's got to hold on to a balloon for what, 3-4 hours to get to Magaluf?
Well, yeah, you say that. 3-4 hours on a plane to get to Magaluf. How long is it going to take you by balloon? Like, I reckon...
Yeah, 3 or 4 days. And that's only if... And hopefully the wind is blowing that way.
Well, it would bring a whole lot more excitement to going on holiday, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You don't quite know where you're going to end up.
Yeah. I thought we'd booked for Magaluf. I've ended up in the Faroe Islands.
Which is still not that bad, to be fair.
It's pretty cold in the Faroe Islands. They're always wearing them Scandinavian jumpers, them Faroe Isle jumpers.
Yeah, but I'm thinking, like, I'm in Milton Keynes. I've booked to go to Magaluf. I've ended up in Birmingham.
Anywhere's an improvement from Milton Keynes. Everybody knows that.
And then there's one more, right? There's one more that I was going to go with. And genuinely, this would have been my campaign this week. But I made the mistake of going on Change and typing this in and realising that it was an existing campaign. And we've talked about in the past, I don't think we can, but it's an unwritten rule of the podcast, you can't run with a campaign that already exists, right? But I think this is a winner. Introduce Mario Kart to the driving test.
It already exists?
Yeah, that's there already. Their one went a step further. It basically said to make people complete Rainbow Road before letting them out on the real roads. Because if you can't get along Rainbow Road without falling off, you don't deserve to be driving on the real roads.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a bit of an issue with that in that none of our roads have space beside it where you can fall off into the infinite void.
Well, no, but the theory is sound, isn't it? I quite like that. I think that people should be much more careful drivers. And if you can't drive Mario Kart, then I don't want you on the road next to me. If you can't do Rainbow Road, I don't want to meet you on the M6. That's all I'm saying.
But won't people be looking? Won't people be changing lanes, driving on the other side of the road because they seen something that looked vaguely like a speed up arrow?
Yeah, or people now just flinging bananas out of their windows on the M6 to try and put the car behind them into the barriers.
I mean, I'm not against that as an idea. I think that might be quite good. I've been on the M6. I want some sort of revenge on somebody.
See, I like it. That's where the thought originally came from. Just get rid of the poor drivers, only have the top drivers on the road, and those people are clearly the ones who are good at Mario Kart.
Be a lot of skidding round corners going on.
Yes, there would. Yes, there would.
Do you want me to do my campaign now?
Yeah, why not? Let's hear it.
Do you know what? I picked something that I thought might be even more divisive than Mrs. Brown's Boys, because you've got half the country clearly love it, half the country clearly hate it. This week you might have thought, I can't go divisive again. I should be more inclusive. I'm doubling down, Mark.
Surely nothing is more divisive than Mrs. Brown's Boys.
Yes, there is. There's only one thing more divisive than Mrs. Brown's Boys. And I know that people will love that I'm bringing this back up in the middle of a pandemic. My campaign this week, Mark, is for Britain to be invaded by the EU.
How's that going to work? Tell me all about it.
Just listen. I'm not interested in the logistics. I'm just the ideas, man. Right, here we go. A no-deal Brexit is looming in the middle or the aftermath of the worst pandemic we've ever seen. Talks on our relationship with the EU have become as fraught and protracted as Ross and Rachel over 10 series of Friends, and I'm not sure we will ever get our happy ending. Maybe at some point we will try and get back with them, imploring how we acted terribly, and Britain will just be there shouting, "We were on a break!" In a strangely Agincourt-esque manoeuvre, the Brexiteer ideologues are intent on using chlorinated chicken as bolts for weapons and firing them from their economic crossbows into our mouths from across the Atlantic, sticking two fingers up at us, taunting our free trade food predicament while making us poorer in the process. We now have to do something desperate. Priti Patel is Home Secretary, for God's sake. A woman so right-wing, the death penalty probably doesn't go far enough. She wants to let the Grim Reaper loose on the afterlife. All I'm saying is either we do something serious or Syria won't be ready for the influx of UK refugees. It has been 75 years since a land war in Europe. The EU has helped protect that legacy, but now I'm asking them to shrug that off and save Britain from itself. Britain is essentially a late-stage teenager hell-bent on some alcoholic path of self-destruction. Brussels, we throw ourselves at your mercy. Grab some German tanks, grab some French troops. Actually, don't worry about the French troops. We need a real Battle of Britain, a second Battle of Britain, one that's not going to go our way. It's a crazy world here. Liverpool have won the league, for God's sake. The Channel needs to be wide open. Besmirch the white cliffs of Dover with the blue and gold of the European flag. Boris Johnson thinks of himself as Churchill. Well, let's put things on a real wartime footing. European Union, invade us. Save us from ourselves. You tried diplomacy, that's failed. Wake up your military-industrial complex. Put together that EU army Nigel Farage warned us about. We have no fighting spirit left. You won't need to fight us on the beaches. We're too busy sunbathing less than a metre away from each other, defecating in sand dunes, littering our own countryside like petulant children who have gone feral. It's time to tame us. It's time to invade us.
Yes. Love it. Good work, man. How on earth have you had time to put that together when you've been so busy doing Bono all week?
Oh, you'd never believe what I've got time to do when I'm up in the air with my own thoughts.
Okay, good. Well, I think that you could be onto something with that. I mean, not that I particularly am up for the country being invaded.
Things have gone too far, Mark. We're beyond that now. You can't keep thinking about that old stuff. We're in the midst of something really quite deep and dark. We need.
Yeah, it's quite. Go on.
I don't know what I was going to say. We need help. Help.
I think we do need help. I'm quite scared about what's going to happen. I'm worried that, this is the one. You were talking about going viral. What if it does? And what if they go, oh, that's a good idea? They're clearly at their weakest point. They're at their lowest ebb. Let's just go with Andy Gleeks. He clearly knows what he's talking about. He's a man who has a track record of speaking sense. Let's just go with it.
Yeah, I think so. Why would you not back me? I've won everybody over this episode with my clear thinking and my farsightedness.
I also particularly like that during Brexit, like during the referendum and everything, the central argument that really, really was powerful was the idea that the EU has been the basis of peace within our bloc for the last 70 years or whatever it is. And you just think, well, let's rip that up now. That's done.
Yeah, we've tried the nice way, you know. And Britain loves a good war. That was the last time we had any va-va-voom, you know. The Falklands, Iraq, you know, World War II. Everyone keeps going on about World War II when Britain played such a huge role. I mean, America played no role at all. Just Britain on its own, fighting a good fight. So, you know, why not put things on a war footing? It'll give the Brexiteers what they want, which is some sort of weird throwback. If they really want to leave, if they really want us to leave the EU, they'll take a gun and they'll do it properly.
Well, I do imagine that Boris would welcome the opportunity to actually morph into Churchill. I think that would be right up his street, wouldn't it? Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and there could be nobody less Churchillian.
Oh no, he's very much like Churchill, but I mean the dog in the adverts.
I was nodding there.
Yes, you were. I was waiting for the. Oh, yeah.
I was nodding for those people that listen to this podcast on audio.
Shall I tell you what you're up against this week?
Yeah, go on.
All right. So this is what I've got for you. Like you, I was thinking about kind of what life is going to be like post-lockdown and trying to get people on board with solving some of the problems that we're going to face. Right? And I think one of the biggest ones is going to be shopping. We already had, right at the beginning, there was problems with people kind of hoarding and buying loads of stuff, panic buying. And now, people going back to shops, there's going to be all sorts of restrictions because of social distancing. So I thought, there's one solution, right? So this is it. Everyone hates supermarket shopping. Nothing fills you with more dread than a Saturday morning excursion down the fruit and veg aisle. And there's no greater mystery to be solved than where the bin bags have been moved to now. And with the ongoing pandemic, supermarket shopping is only going to get worse, with queues that would rival a popular roller coaster at Alton Towers before you even get to enter the shop. And an actual real-life nemesis in the form of a little old lady facing you down to grab the last bundle of bog roll. Not to mention the fear that you're going to have to self-isolate for the rest of eternity if you make a wrong choice and pick the wrong packet of crumpets. You could be forgiven for thinking that the fun has gone out of supermarket shopping. But there is a simple solution. One man knew the right way to tackle the problems in supermarkets and the only way to put the joy back into the weekly shop. And that man was Dale Winton. I can't think of a more fitting tribute to the great man himself than making his most popular daytime game show into everyday reality for the masses. It's not for everyone, granted, but fortunately, the increase in delivery services means that the elderly will still be able to receive their goods without having to go quite literally off their trolleys. It would also inject a bit of much-needed fun once a week to make up for the non-existent or heavily restricted entertainment options that we're currently dealing with. This could really work. Supermarket sweep for real. Picture the scene. Every shopper is given 3 minutes to go wild in the aisles and grab their weekly shop. Not only will the queues outside the store move much faster, but if you line them up along the windows, they get the benefit of free entertainment, watching the fun, as those people in front of them go hunting for their favourite items, sending pineapples, donuts and tins of soup flying through the air. chuck in a couple of inflatables, and you've got the perfect recipe for restoring the shops to their former glory and putting the super back in supermarkets.
Ooh, spicy. I reckon I'm in trouble.
I think that could really work. Imagine that. Imagine doing your weekly shop in 3 minutes flat, just running around the aisles, piling everything in, doesn't really matter. You get to the checkout, you see what you've got, who knows?
I mean, it's going to make meal planning very, very random every week.
Well, it could really help. I think it could really help with your diet. It would certainly increase people's creativity in the kitchen, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Do you think this courgette goes with this toothpaste sauce?
There might be a little bit of that, just a smidgen of that.
Oh, I hate courgettes.
Well, then surely putting a bit of toothpaste on is going to improve it for you.
Yeah, at least it'd make it minty fresh. I'd probably eat that, to be fair.
There you go.
I like that. I did like Supermarket Sweep. It was perfect breakfast viewing when you were a student, wasn't it?
Absolutely. They brought it back now. I wasn't going to really talk about him in the pitch, but Rylan is now the presenter of it. And Rylan is, we were talking about divisive. He's a divisive figure, right? People either love him or hate him. And there are a lot of people in the country that love him. And maybe those people, maybe I should have brought that in because those people would get behind this campaign as well.
Yeah. Rylan, do not underestimate the force of Rylan Clark.
Absolutely. I'm gonna definitely, he seems to me to be the type of person that if we can put this on his Twitter, he'll be all over it.
Yeah, just do it, mate. You gotta do what you gotta do. Get on the Reddit.
Let's face it, we're not going to be getting any support from Dale Winton, are we?
No.
If you're listening to this and you think that either of them sound like a good idea, do go on Change and find them, Inane Campaign Podcast on Change, and support these campaigns, because it would be really, really good if next week we're not talking about a winning margin of 1 with a total of 5 votes.
We need to get the poll. We need to get the poll on our Twitter, and those votes need to count.
Do you reckon? I think we need to convert them. It's like I used to work in sales. It's no good having an intention to buy. It's no good people just saying, "Oh, that's a good idea. That sounds good." They need to commit, surely.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. If they click on something on Twitter, it's more or less like clicking on something on Change. You know, they've shown that they back your idea, and that's really what we're after. I'm just trying whatever I can to get some extra votes, Mark.
All right. Well, if it makes you feel better, then we'll put a Twitter poll up as well, and people will count those votes for 1 week. Week only, but I'm mainly, this is a one-off. All right, this is not going to be a regular thing.
All right, Okay.
Right.
Thank you, kind father, for your, your generosity.
And we'll see who is the winner. If you want to check out what we've been up to, if you like any of those ideas, check them out as well. We're on Instagram and Twitter as @InnanePod. We'll be on YouTube with the videos. Subscribe to that. Basically, get on board with the Inane Campaign podcast, and then you can check out future versions of Bono paragliding.
I'm still up in the air now. I'm very hungry.
Find out also who's going to win this week's exciting challenge between Supermarket Sweep being run as an actual thing and the EU invading Britain. Who knows? Could go either way. Anyway, Andy, thank you so much for joining me once again.
Always a pleasure.
Good luck this week, mate, and I will catch up with you in a week's time.
See you, buddy.
See you later.